about coaching with Jim McElwain when y'all were at Alabama, and what kind of coach he is?
Yeah, well, Coach Mack, I guess we probably spent 4 years together. Man, he's a great coach, but a better guy. I mean, he's got a great imagination on the field and great imagination off the field. Had a lot of good times together, not only him, but Coach Nuss and Coach Rump, and actually spent a year with Jeff Collins, the DC. So got some good friends on that staff, and got a lot of respect for those guys. Those guys do a great job, and that's obvious.
He was saying that he's going to have to change up signals because Sale knows him all or something.
Well, I tell you what, I think we got too much information, You're looking going through all the playbooks back in 9, 10, 11, and 12, so we've been chasing a lot of ghosts here for the last 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Coach, obviously, last year that rushing game that Florida had was just, surprised everybody. Anything? You got a different staff now and a whole different team. Is there anything to take from what happened last year into this year's game to make sure it doesn't happen again, or to even expect anything like that?
Well, when you talk about last year, one of the things that you kind of, when you start the year off and you talk to your guys, is it's not last year's team, it's not their team from last year, it's not our team from last year. There's some lessons to be learned for the coaching staff for sure, but for the players, they lost a lot of guys, we lost a lot of guys, so I don't think last year's game will have any bearing on what happens for the 60 minutes down there Saturday.
As a coach, how much did that game last year, I guess, linger with you for what happened in that one?
Absolutely. I mean, they all linger with you. We were talking to our guys today. Actually in the meetings today, we had somebody didn't bail when they were supposed to, and immediately, it's the same call that happened. And we had a guy that didn't bail when he's playing man, supposed to be playing bail man. He played press man, and we get a 9 route thrown over her head, and it was actually I think it was Mikey Henderson in 2007. Alabama, Georgia in overtime, so you don't forget them, and I knew our record and I knew their record once the season was over. And it was funny, Keelan Johnson was in the room, and he said, "Coach, I was the captain on that team," so he knew exactly what I was talking about. So they all linger with you, the good and the bad. Yeah.
With Dominic, obviously the situation this week, how do you approach that personnel-wise?
Well, you know what, it's really the first time that it's happened to me as a coach. We did lose a guy one time, and that was in the first half, so he set the second half. So, we've made Dom a 2 this week. That's what we've had to do. We've had to rep some other guys, and it's part of football. This time of year guys get hurt, things happen, so the next guys kind of step up, and that's why they give us 85 scholarships. So it'll be somebody's turn, and they'll have to play really well for us.
How much are you counting on from George Jenkins this weekend?
Jordan's practiced this week. He's done a good job, looks good, so we'll see how he does Saturday.
That rushing number they put up last year, is that something you kind of just thrown past in terms of preparation, or is that something you brought up to them, or what? No,
like I said before, it's a new year, so we've really tried to we always try to focus on us, and we've still got a young team that's learning how to play, learning how to practice, learning how to prepare, and so we've tried to keep it about us and keep it simple. So we seem to have more success when we focus on us.
Does facing off against Josh Dobbs help you prepare for Jerome Harris, since they're kind of similar dynamic players that can cross the ball?
I would think so. There's probably some things in the run game that they had success against us that kind of saw it before. They used it some in the Wildcat package before Greer, became ineligible. So they could still do that. So possibly yes.
With Greer out, are you going to be looking to send more pressure on the blitzes?
Well, you want me to just tell you our game plan?
Just curious if you're going to have a more aggressive strategy for their younger quarterback.
We're just going to try to figure out a way to get off the field, try to create some turnovers. One thing that their offense hadn't done is they hadn't turned the ball over. You know, they've done a really good job doing that, and we've got to do a better job forcing turnovers. We need some 3-and-outs and create some field position for our offense.
Malcolm Parrish, Dominic Sanders, Jonathan Allen, these are all guys that played a little bit quarterback in high school. Why is that something that you look for in a defensive back?
Played a little bit of quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as a former high school coach, you know, most of the time you play your best player at quarterback. I mean, every play starts through him. So, or I did. We tried to play our best one at quarterback. So, you know, when you go recruiting, you're trying to find the best guy on the team. So a lot of times that's the guy.
Coach, what did you say out of Kelvin Taylor, and how do you think you guys are going to have to approach stopping him?
I tell you what, the guy has really ran strong. He's running with really good vision, lots of yards after contact. He can finish and score from anywhere. The guy's durable. He's got a lot of carries. So he's doing a really good job. They got a lot of playmakers. To me, they got 3 really good wide receivers, 2 good tight ends, couple of runners. They've done a nice job. Coach Mack does a heck of a job spreading the ball around, getting his quarterbacks out on the perimeter. They take shots. You got to understand wide receiver locations, and you know, I go back and I think about, you know, we every once in a while we used to have what we called a gimmick period, and Coach Mack, he had some of the best ones in the gimmick period. So we've had to work on all those, you know, and he had a lot of them.
Juwan Briscoe, did you like how he played? Getting expensive playing time last game?
You know, for the first time he's played, he didn't do bad. You know, he made some mistakes, but nobody's going to play perfect. He just got to continue to work on the fundamentals. You know, and he's had a good week of practice, good 2 weeks of practice. You know, we needed the off week for some of these young guys to, I mean, because they're still learning how to play the fundamentals of how we want it done, and they're, you know, learning to do it over and over again.
Coach, I think against Missouri, the offense was able to kind of pretty much own the clock and keep you guys off the field, keep the plays down. And you were also able to, you know, rotate there. How big of a factor is that when you go into a game, you know, like Florida, where you're playing an SEC opponent that has athlete after athlete to send after you? Is that a big part of you know, something you have to see as a defensive coordinator and your guys getting that rest?
No. You know, when you play defense, you kind of got to play what's been dealt to you. I mean, that's comes with the nature of playing it. So you got to worry about things that you can control. You know, and that's the things that we do at practice. That's the plays that we're on the field. So that's what we try to focus on.